Alright, welcome to my clarifying video on my PMR 30. The problem I was having with it was feeding. Let's put this thing together. So I stripped it all apart. I'll show you some more in a minute. But what was happening, the thing was firing great. And then, put the barrel in here. Firing great. Okay, so here's the top of the gun. See if I can do this. Come on. Oh, something like that. So here's the top of the gun. The thing was firing great at the range for a while, and then all of a sudden, the bullets coming up through the magazine, being fed up and then out. These things were getting caught on an angle like this, and they wouldn't feed all the way up, and the gun was jamming, and I could hardly even open the slide to get the bullet out of the barrel. So it was trying to get in there, but it was on an angle, and it wouldn't go any higher. What I found out was that the firing pin was preventing it from the cartridge, from the bullet, from going up any further. Now, pull this top off here. On the top of the gun, after you remove the 4 screws on top, give this a little tap, a little pry on there, and you can remove this cap, and underneath that is the firing pin and other parts. But this piece here is the firing pin. You can see it going in and out like that. I don't know if I got enough light in here to get down in there. Probably wear a headlamp or something. So the firing pin was stuck. See that on the right? Boy, oh boy. See if I can move this thing over. No. Can't even, this camera sucks. So it was stuck, and then the cartridge wouldn't go past the firing pin. It needed to go up just a little bit more. And it wasn't allowing it to do that. So I finally recognized the problem, and how I recognized the problem is I was going a little deeper in the gun to figure this out, and I was pulling this cap off, and I loosened, I don't know, 1, 2, and maybe I was getting to the third one, and all of a sudden I heard that firing pin snap back into position. So it was locked like that, and then it just snapped back. I heard it, and I'm like, what the heck? So obviously this top plate was putting pressure on the firing pin and preventing it from sliding back. Now why? Maybe because there was dirt underneath the firing pin. These things are relatively dirty guns, but maybe a lot of crap got underneath it, and it just slid up a little bit and it was getting squeezed in there, preventing it from firing. It's kind of my thoughts. So I cleaned it all up, and the thing seems to run pretty good. But you'll also notice on top of this firing pin that there's wear marks right here. Why is that? There's wear marks. See those? I get this thing to focus. So we got a little wear there, a little wear there, and especially up front, there's some wear. So I looked at the top plate, and I'm thinking to myself, well, something's putting pressure on that thing and it's wearing it down. So what I did was I took an X-Acto knife and a flat-bladed X-Acto knife and used it as a scraper and scraped. This used to be the same color as that, and so I scraped off, I don't know, maybe 1,000, maybe 2,000, but not very much material off the top of that. So when you put this top plate on and you screw it down, I'm hoping that it doesn't put pressure on the firing pin. So far, so good. It seems to be working, but just a shout out. You know, people say it's the ammo, people say I'm feeding it wrong, people say it's whatever. It's not that. It's that firing pin was getting locked up, and it was preventing it, the dirt or whatever was preventing it from releasing and then allowing the next round to come up in there. So just something to think about when you're at the range. Again, I think they have clearance issues with this, if it's doing that. So I'm trying to make this a dependable gun, and with something like that, I was having couldn't get it to fire. So had I been in a stressful situation where I needed this thing to fire and it wouldn't, well, I would guess I would have been out of luck then. There was nothing I could have done. So just something to check. You can always reach in the back when your slide's locked open. You can reach in the back and just see if that firing pin is moving. Right in there. There's your end of the firing pin right there. So mine was just stuck that way. Normally it should be moving pretty good. So I don't know. Maybe this video clarifies something. So when you go to take this apart, clean it real well, keep it clean, and maybe take off a little bit of that material on this top plate in that area there and see if maybe that helps. I don't think it's doing anything harmful to remove it, but try taking a little bit of that off, just scraping a little bit of that off along that ridge. So that's kind of what I did. Seems to have helped. So talk to you later.